Assalamualaikum. Greetings everyone. It's Miss Honey here again. Alright. For today we are going to go into the last or final part of our syllabus, which focus on meetings and discussion. Okay, previously we have talked about everything that you need to know about communicating in the workplace. Okay, so this last part of the syllabus will focus on one of the elements of communicating in the workplace, which is meetings. Okay, attending a meeting and chairing a meeting. Okay, as well as discussion, of course. All right, so let's get on to it. Okay, so if you were in a class, of course, I would normally give or ask you a few sets of questions. So let's just go along with these questions. Number one, what can be qualified as meetings? Why are meetings important? What are the important positions in a meeting? And what are the elements of a meeting? But before we can go into the answers to the questions, all right, let's watch this video for a while. Okay, right. Okay, even the title of the video itself, I think you might have an idea of what this particular video is about. Okay, meeting from hell, running a meeting, or drowning in chaos. So let's have a look.
Guys, I'm sorry I'm late. Thank you. Traffic. Can you believe it? How ironic. You know, that's what we're here to talk about, and I got caught in it. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Dana, you ever forget problem? You're always late. So what are we going to do to fix the traffic? Guys, any recommendations?
I think the solution is definitely public transportation. You know, we need to...
You're going to go on about public transit. If we're going to talk about that, I should just leave. No point.
That's really rude. I'm just saying, I think that we need to put more money into public transportation.
Why are you going to put more money into a system that's not even broken? You know, R&D is about research and development.
I'm not
Using
saying...
new technologies like scooters or...
We can use new technology in public transportation. That's what we need to do.
Money into a system that doesn't
It's
work.
not
It's proven that
our
it doesn't
fault
work.
that it's not working. It's not working
It's
because
management.
we're not funded
Why don't we
properly.
get more money, man? Money already lost.
Fight. I don't like this. Isn't productive when you fight.
I'll be at my office if you want to talk about it.
Oh, so he just gets to go? He's just going to leave?
Does this resemble some of your dysfunctional meetings? Do you sometimes feel like you're drowning in chaos? Dysfunctional meetings are all too common. In this video, we'll tackle common meeting challenges and introduce several...
Okay, all right. So if you notice, that is, should I say, a very good example of an effective meeting. Okay, so I'm sure that you are all very much aware of what you can call as the general principle of how a meeting should be conducted. Of course, you must have the person who's running the meeting. Of course, you must also have the participants in the meeting, right? Okay, so these two have to work with one another. And the video that you saw just now, okay, did you see where the chairperson is seated? Okay, and did the chairperson, did the job right by handling the meeting correctly? Okay, and I think you all can agree that no, she didn't do a good job in handling or conducting the meeting. As a chairperson, she should have maintained and running the meeting as smoothly as possible. Okay, but okay, the participants of the meeting as well, they need to give their cooperation. Okay, throughout the video, I think you can spot several mistakes that were made. Okay, number one, for example, one of the participants were late coming in the meeting. Okay, all right. Number two, there was one particular fella, okay, he was on the phone during the meeting itself, okay, and of course arguments happening throughout the meetings. There's no turn taking, okay, everyone wants to be heard. And in the real world, that happens, okay, in any organization those kind of things will happen, because do remember that when you're in the workplace you have to deal with different kinds of people. There will be people who will be easygoing, there will be people who will be a bit of a challenge to deal with, so having them placed in one room for a meeting can be troublesome, okay. So of course, realistically speaking, having a perfect meeting, okay, is in itself a challenge, okay. So you actually have to play your part in making it effective, whether you are the chairperson or whether you are a participant, okay. Right, so for today we are going to go into the different elements, okay, of a meeting and different elements of how to conduct a meeting, and later on I will show you an example of minutes of meetings, okay. Right, so let's go on to it. Oops, we already gone through this. Okay, so in definition, of course, when we talk about meeting, we always have the conception or preconception that meetings has to be formal, okay, but in certain condition it can be informal, okay. All right, and of course with the current condition that we're having right now, of course it doesn't have to be totally formal, okay, right, because every meeting that we have ever since the start of the MCO has been online, okay. We are not put together in one room, okay. You would have like Zoom meetings, Google Meet meetings, all right, and that's how we conduct our meetings nowadays, okay. All right, so meetings are also deliberatively handled, meaning that it is not by accident, it is by purpose, okay, on purpose, of course. All right, now it's supposed to be held at a definite times, at a definite place, and usually for a definite duration, to follow an agreed upon agenda, okay, meaning that you have decided when and where you should have the meeting. All right, when should you have the meeting, how long the duration for the meeting, for example from 2 to 5 p.m, okay, and you must have an agenda. What is it that you want to talk about? What are the issues that you want to discuss? All right, without the agenda, what happened? There shouldn't be any meetings. Why? Because you will be wasting people's time, okay. Do remember that time is money, time is precious, time is golden. So in order for you to have a meeting, you must have an agenda. Agenda here will be items that will be discussed during the meeting. All right, okay. Right, so normally how to run a meeting, you must have a minimum number of members, okay. I'm sure you have heard of the term quorum, okay. In the Malay expression, not Malay expression, it's more of a slang, okay. Tak cukup quorum, okay. So quorum here refers to the minimum number of people for you to have a meeting. Normally it should be half of the actual population. For example, in my department is English Language and Linguistic department. In my department we have over 40 people, okay. So in order for us to have a meeting, we must have a minimum of 20 people for us to have a meeting. Otherwise the meeting should be cancelled or postponed, right, because you didn't meet the quorum, okay. All right, next will be resolutions. Resolutions refers to decisions that were made based on the number of votes, okay. So with these two, you would have a very effective meetings. Why meetings happen, okay? You must have a reason. Why do you want to conduct this meeting? Why do you want to have this meeting? Without a purpose, without an agenda, there is no need for you to have a meeting. So normally for a meeting, you would conduct a meeting because there are issues, there are conflicts that you need to solve. I know that with the advancement of technology, you have WhatsApp, you have Google Meet, okay? Of course, those can be done as well, okay? But preferably if you get to meet face to face, okay, it is even better. Google Meet also you meet face to face, but mainly on screen, okay? All right, but whatever it is, you must have conflicts that you want to solve. You want to find solutions to problems, okay? Or for example, if you have problems within the department in terms of the people itself, okay, you conduct meetings. All right, so basically any issues that you want to solve, or if you want to keep in touch with certain progress. Let's say for example you have a program, you conducted a program, okay, and then you would have different what we can call as in Malay we call it jawatan kuasa, different committees, right? Different committees, for example logistic committees, booking committees, food and beverages committee. All right, so before the event itself, before the program, you would meet, right? You would meet and then you would ask these different committees what were the progress that have been made so far in order to make the event as running as smoothly as possible. Okay, whatever it is, whether it is an issue, whether it is progress, updates and everything, you must have an agenda. What is it that you want to discuss? Okay. All right. Notice of meetings, agenda and minutes. Okay. So when we talk about meetings, it is not just verbally talking, verbally deciding, verbally discussing, everything verbal, no. Okay. What makes meetings formal will be in terms of the black and white, the document itself. So in meetings, you would have two different documents with three different elements, okay? The two documents that you must have will be notice and minutes, okay? But the elements will be notice, agenda and minutes, okay? Agenda will be included in the notice as well as the minutes, okay? So let's go through them one by one. Okay, so notice of meeting. Okay, so this is also a document. All right, it is distributed before the meeting itself. Okay, so notice of meeting, it is just like a reminder or notification that you hand out, that you distributed to the people who you need to be there during the meeting. For example, you want this certain department to be part of the meeting, so you distribute this notice of meeting. All right. In Malay, we call it surat panggil mesyuarat. Okay. So it is a letter inviting these people to attend the meeting. Okay. All right. So in this notice, normally you would have date, time, venue, and agenda. All right. If you go to any organization, normally this notice will be distributed via hard copy, all right, in the form of memo or letter, okay, and as well as email, okay. So it can be hard copy or soft copy or sometimes both, all right. It should be distributed at least 1 week before the meeting, okay. So who are given the task to to craft out the notice? Okay, so of course when we talk about a meeting, you must have the chairperson, okay, you must have the secretary, okay, and of course the participant. So who will be in charge of producing this notice of meeting? The secretary. Okay, so the secretary will discuss, or will will discuss with the chairperson, okay, regarding the agenda that will be discussed in the meeting. Okay, the chairperson will be in charge, of course, of deciding what are the agenda, the date, time, venue, okay, and everything. So the secretary, what he or she have to do basically will be just to produce the notice. Okay, all right, and then distribute to those involved in the meeting. Okay, but notice is, of course, should be distributed before the meeting. Okay, all right. Agenda here refers to items that you want to discuss, all right, and the order that these items will be mentioned in. Okay, all right, and it should be notified in the notice. Of course, you need to inform the participants what is it that will be discussed so that they are aware, and they need to see whether or not they will be involved in the meeting for some reason. For example, if they need to give an update, if they need to present something, they are more aware. Okay, they can do a bit of preparation in advance. Okay, all right, and of course, if they have anything in mind, they can actually say it, or vocalize it during the meeting, because they are aware of what will be discussed in the meeting. So this agenda will be available in the notice as well as the minutes. Okay, minutes of meeting will be produced after the meeting itself. Okay, so in the normal context of a meeting, you would have, of course, the chairperson and the secretary and the participants. So in the normal setting of a meeting, let's say for example you have the banquet table or any table, so normally you are aware, or you would know where the chairperson will be seated. The secretary is normally seated next to the chairperson, because the secretary have a very important job to actually write down or jot down every single important decision that was made. Not just that, he or she also needs to take note of how many people attended the meeting. Okay, if there's anyone who's supposed to attend the meeting, let's say they were absent, he or she needs to follow up and ask why they were missing. Okay, all right. After the meeting has ended, the secretary will be put in charge of writing the minutes of meeting. So minutes of meeting, it is a written document. It is a recorded documentation, a black and white recorded documentation, because by nature meetings are spoken interaction and it is formal. So how can you track back, okay, whatever decisions, important decisions that were made? I know that nowadays we have, with the advancement of technology, you would have voice recorder, video recorder, but okay, will you have the time to actually go back and watch the whole meeting? No. Okay, so you have someone in charge of jotting down all the important decisions that were made. This person is the secretary. So this secretary will be in charge of producing the minutes of meeting. Okay, all right, let's go to the last point. Why are minutes of meeting important? Now, minutes of meetings are important because it can be a benefit for the chairperson, okay, as well as the participants. Okay, let's say for example, I have a department meeting on January, okay, and whatever decisions that were made for the January, let's say for example, if I have another meeting 2 months after, of course, by all means, we all have already forgotten what we have decided upon. So the minutes that they have recorded previously can be used as a reference. For example, if the chairperson say, what was the decision made on this program, for example. So you can refer to the minutes of meeting on January for you to make a decision. So it will be a very good black and white proof, and you can't dispute it because it is a written document. Okay, so minutes usually include, of course, the names of the attended participants as well as those who were absent. Okay, both must be included, who attended, who didn't attend. All right, the agenda of items covered must be in order. Okay, the decisions that was made by the participants, follow-up actions, due dates for completions, and any other events or discussion worth documenting for future review or history. And ideally, it should be produced within 24 hours of meeting. Okay, and should be distributed maybe 2 or 3 days after the meeting, or right before the next meeting, if there is a next meeting. Okay, all right. And there is, of course, a certain format that you will have to follow. I will show you that example later. Okay, all right. So when we talk about planning a meeting or conducting a meeting, the major responsibility falls on the shoulders of the chairperson. So if you are the chairperson, you have a huge responsibility because you need to plan the meeting, you need to conduct the meeting, and you need to follow up with the meeting. Okay, so before the meeting, as a chairperson, you need to, of course, figure out what should be discussed. All right, you should discuss with your secretary and decide what will be the items that will be discussed. All right, you also have to decide on an appropriate meeting time, set a limit, and then stick to it if possible. Okay, all right, when you're conducting a meeting, of course, you have to be stern yet friendly at the same time. Okay, you need to greet and welcome your participants. Okay, make them feel welcome. You need to start on time and on time. For example, if you say we'll start at 2, you have to start at 2. If you say you will finish at 5, please finish on time. Okay, all right, before you begin with the agenda, you have to review. Okay, for example, Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome to the department meeting. All right, today we will discuss about, for example, okay, and we will discuss on progress made about the theater event, for example. Okay, so you review the agenda first before going to the actual meeting so that your participants are well informed. Okay, you review first. Okay, all right, whatever it is that you mention in the agenda, you must stick to it. Okay, for example, if there are 3 items that you will discuss, you must have 3 items discussed in the agenda. Let's say, for example, if there is a participant in the meeting who wants to discuss something that is not listed in the agenda, it still can be discussed. You can still you can still basically discuss about it, but later in the minutes of meeting, it will be categorized under other matters. Okay, hal-hal lain, because it is not listed in the agenda. Okay, all right. As the chairperson as well, you need to encourage feedback. You need to encourage group discussion. You need to be able to control your participants. Okay, just like the video just now that you've seen in the beginning of the class. All right, the chairperson failed to control the participants. So as a chairperson, you have to be stern, you have to be strict, but at the same time, you have to be friendly. Okay, all right, and you have to decide as you go. For example, if you know that you couldn't find a solution during this meeting, you need to decide whether you continue or should we discuss on a future meeting, for example. Okay, all right, so as a leader, be a role model by listening, showing interest and appreciation. So yeah, there's a lot of okay. All right, ignore the thunder. Okay, so as a chairperson, you have a huge role at hand. Okay, all right, because of course being a chairperson also symbolizes you being a leader, so you need to be an effective leader. Okay, before you end the meeting, summarize back whatever decisions, important decisions or major elements that were discussed in the meeting. Review back, summarize back, and then ask everyone whether or not they have anything more to say. Okay, end on a positive note. Okay, all right. If you want to, you can set a time and date for the next meeting if you want. Okay. Okay, and after meeting, after you have done with the meeting, okay, it is now under the responsibility of the secretary. So the secretary will have to write up and distribute the minutes within 3 or 4 days. Okay, follow up with the participants, okay, if you want to, okay, to see if there is any improvement that have been made. Okay, follow up on any decisions that were made if you want. Okay, all right, so now just now we have covered anything and everything to do with the chairperson and the secretary, but now we'll go into the other element, which is the participants themselves. Okay, all right, so normally if you were to participate in a meeting, okay, you either will be an active participant or a passive participant. Okay, so an active participant, they would normally give out, they give feedback, they would discuss a lot, they will give ideas. And the passive participants, they sometimes couldn't care less. They would they would play with their phone. Okay, they couldn't focus, they were yawning. Okay? So during a meeting, you should also be aware of certain things. Okay. Right, so give suggestion, give feedback, give cooperation. Okay, and make sure there's let's say for example, if you work together in a team, make sure that you have equal distribution of work. All right, and if there is anything that you are not satisfied with, you have to vocalize them, okay, during the meeting. Okay. Alright, so this is an example of types of people in the meeting. I will let you guys watch this on your own. Okay. Right. Okay, so this will be your task for this week. Okay. Alright, and yeah, I will put this in the classwork. Okay, there is also another video, okay, focusing on minutes of meeting, but I will show you an example of minutes of meeting. Where is it? Okay, all right, I will share with you this particular document, but let me just scroll down here for you to see an example. Okay, so this is an example of a format of meeting. If you get to see here, okay, minutes of meeting of, so for example, this will be your department or your company. All right, the name of the company. All right, or maybe a program, for example, minutes of meeting of Minggu Haluan Siswa, for example. Okay, number refers to is it your first meeting, is it your second meeting? Year will be, of course, okay, the current year 2020. All right, date, time, venue. Okay, present here will be referring to the attendees. Okay, the attendees. In attendance here refers to people outside of your organization. For example, if I am from CLS, okay, we have a meeting, but we want to call people from Pusat Kesihatan, from the health office. So these people from the health office will be in attendance. Okay, all right. And this is how you would arrange your minutes of meeting. Okay, you have an opening address by the chairman, confirmation of minutes. Matters arising refers to perkara berbangkit. Perkara berbangkit or matters arising refers to items that you have already discussed in the previous meeting that you want to raise the issue again in the next meeting. Normally asking for updates or progress. Okay. Alright, discussion of working papers is not compulsory. It all depends on what kind of meeting will you have. So this can be replaced with other elements or other headings. Okay. Alright, other matters, as I mentioned, hal-hal lain refers to items that are not listed in the agenda that you want to discuss. Okay, conclusion here will be, you can, instead of conclusion, you can also replace with closing remarks. Okay, secretariat, the date, okay, prepared by, the name of the secretary, confirmed by the chairman's name, date and date. Okay, alright, so I will share this document with you as well. Alright, and I will share with you another video specifically on language of meetings. Okay, but it will not be given by me, it will be given by one of my colleagues. Okay. Alright, so I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for attending my class, and this is our last topic, so there will be no more video coming in from me. Alright, the only thing I will want to see will be a video of you, okay, attending the meeting, because remember, we still have one more assessment, and that is meeting. So it will be me watching you having a meeting, conducting a meeting after this. Okay, alright, so if you have any questions later on, you know what to do. Please WhatsApp me. I will try my best to entertain your questions. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Bye.